Picture the scene. You're in your car. It's a lovely car, really nice car you've got. You're driving on this beautiful journey, nice, long, straight, empty road. The weather's lovely, sky is clear. Driving along, got a few good tunes playing away on the stereo, really enjoying your time. You notice way up in the distance on the edge of the road, there's what looks like a young child. It looks like a child stood at the side of the road. Curious, what's going on there? Who knows? Driving along, getting closer and closer, and as you draw near the child, the child stands up and starts throwing stones at your car. What's going on here? That little expletive deleted. I'm going to show him throwing stones at my car. You slam the brakes on. You stop right by the child. Jump out of the car, ready to give them what for. I mean, how dare they throw stones at your car, right? What's going on? And the child, before you can say anything, the child says, thank goodness you've stopped. My mum was driving. She's crashed off the road. She's trapped in the car. Can you come and help me? Things don't have any inherent meaning. We apply meaning to things, but it's not necessarily the case that what we choose it to mean is actually what it means. In fact, really nothing has any absolute meaning. We are meaning-making machines. We see things, or hear things, or feel things. Something happens. We apply a meaning to it. This happened. We decide it means that, and then we go about our lives accordingly. But as we've just seen in that example, just because we decide something means something doesn't necessarily mean it means that at all. So often in life, we will decide that something means something, and it doesn't. And yet we go through life deciding that it does mean that. For example, you might ask somebody out and they might turn you down. You then might decide, oh, that means I'm not good enough. That means nobody's ever going to want to go out with me. And you never ask anyone out again. Obviously, it doesn't mean that nobody's going to go out with you. It just means that one person at that time was not in a place where they wanted to go out with you. And yet we can pile so much of this stuff on us. I've seen it happen so many times with business owners. Have you ever had the case, and I know many people where this happens, a prospective client puts in an inquiry, asks for a quote, you work through some stuff with them, give them a wonderful quote, send it to them, and then they go silent. You hear absolutely nothing from them. You might even give them a phone call, they don't pick up. You think, oh, they're ghosting me. Oh, that means that they didn't like the quote. Maybe I was too expensive. Maybe they didn't like what I'm offering. Maybe they were just messing me around and were looking for a quote from someone else, or looking to get my quote so they could beat their preferred supplier down in price. Oh, I guess I'm not going to get the business. That was a waste of time. We decide all of these things. Then a couple of days later, they phone up. Oh, I'm really sorry for the delay. Something cropped up. Love your quote. When can we get started? It happens, right? We decided they meant one thing. It means something completely different. So what I'd like to invite everybody to do, not necessarily right now, because then you won't be paying attention to the rest of what I'm saying, but what I'd like to invite you to do is think back over your life. Explore sometimes where somebody has said or done something, or something's happened and you've applied a meaning to it, and think back to them and think, did that actually mean that? Did that actually really mean that? Because they can be the root of many problems that we have, many issues we have. We've applied a meaning, we've lived life accordingly. It doesn't mean that at all. So maybe have a look back, have a think about these things. And the reason for doing that is not to beat yourself up. It's not to beat yourself up and go, well, how stupid was I to think that? No, the reason for doing that is, with the benefit of hindsight, we can see that maybe it did have a different meaning. And we can then open ourselves up to the very real fact that just because we decide something means something doesn't mean it means that. In fact, if we're going to decide something means something, why don't we decide it means something good? Why don't we give it a meaning that helps us, a meaning that's positive? We can always change the meaning that we apply to things, and that can really change the way that we look at it. Many years ago, many years ago, there was an advert on TV. It was for a newspaper. And it was like a short, three very short scenes in advert. It was the same scene shot from three perspectives. First of all, just a close up, and you see this archetypal skinhead running, comes running around the corner. You think, oh yeah, what have they been up to? What are they running away from? Camera pans back a bit. You see the same scene. Skinhead comes running, and you can see this little old lady. He's running toward the little old lady. You think, oh right, he's going to nick her handbag. Pans back a bit further. Skinhead running towards a little old lady, pushes her out of the way as a plant pot's falling from the ledge above and falls exactly where she had been standing. The same thing, seen from different perspectives, can have very, very different meanings. There was a famous hypnotherapist in America called Milton Erickson. He was a master at what's called reframing, taking something and applying, helping us see it from different perspectives. He had a client one time who came to him saying, oh, can you do something with my daughter? She is so headstrong. I ask her to do things. She doesn't do them. She just goes and does her own stuff. Can you sort her out? Late teenage daughter. Erickson pauses for a moment, thinks and goes, isn't it good that your daughter knows her own mind? She knows what she wants to do. She won't be swayed, and she can go and do what she needs to do. Isn't it good that she's able to look after herself so that you don't have to worry when she leaves home? You know she can look after herself. You know she knows her own mind. You know she's not going to be swayed by other people. All of a sudden, the guy's daughter's behavior was no longer a problem. We change the way we look at things. It's called reframing, and there's a couple of different ways you can reframe. One is you can ask yourself, okay, well, what is a different context in which this same behavior would mean something different? It's a really useful way of reframing things. If you're going, oh, this person is too ... or I'm too ... or to reframe a behavior, and that's exactly what Erickson did in that instance. Took the behavior of the daughter doing what she wanted to do, knowing what she wanted to do, and doing it. Put it into a different context where it's seen not as a problem, but it's actually seen as a benefit. It's seen as a good thing. So that's one way you can reframe: is what is a different context in which this same behavior actually has a positive meaning. The other way you can reframe is, okay, well, what else could this mean? What's a different way of seeing this? If I were to look at it in a different way, what else could it mean? Like the supplier, the prospective customer getting the quote, not getting back to you for a few days, doesn't necessarily mean they don't like your quote. It could be they've got 1,000,001 other things on. Could be they just want to take the time to really analyze the quote so that when they come back to you, there's no toing and froing. It's just, love the quote, let's do it. So that's what I want to leave you with today. The fact that nothing means anything. We choose the meaning that we apply to it. We either choose it unconsciously, or we can consciously choose to apply meanings to things. And if we're going to decide that something means something, why don't we give it a positive meaning, a meaning that helps us, a meaning that makes it constructive, and a meaning that we can learn from and use that to grow. You can change the meaning by looking at that same behavior in a different context and see how it is helpful. Or you can ask yourself, well, this thing that's happening, this thing that's happened, what else could it mean? I'm choosing it means this, but what else could it mean? And we look at it from different angles, come up with more helpful ways of looking at things. It is said that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that is so true of meaning as well. So that's what I'd like to invite you to do, is change the way you look at things, change the meaning you apply to things, give them meanings which are more positive and more helpful. Thank you.